Simplified Chaos, Episode 16.
Life is beautiful and full of chaos.
And it can get slightly out of hand if that shit's not tamed.
We're here to share how to simplify the little things to start leading a more purposeful life.
This is Simplified Chaos.
Hey, beautiful people. Welcome to Simplified Chaos. This is Jillian, one of your hosts, and I'm with my husband, Nicholas.
What's going on, folks?
And we're so glad you're here. Welcome if this is your first time with us, or it's good to see you if you're coming back.
Thanks for hanging out with us again.
Oh, yeah.
Hell yeah. What are we jumping into today, Jilly?
Today's topic is all about creating your own, quotes, rules.
There are no rules.
There's one rule.
There's one rule.
I forgot what that was.
There's a commercial.
I know.
We shouldn't be doing commercials on this.
You mean quoting commercials?
Yeah.
Because we don't have any commercials.
We don't have any commercials.
Which is pretty fantastic.
Brought to you by our YouTube channel. Check it out.
Or our silly banter, which, yeah that's about it. We're going to be kind of sharing kind of what our rules have been, and they've changed as our seasons of life have changed.
Yes.
And how kind of creating your own rules has, well, for us, it's just simplified our chaos. It's made our days and in turn our lives so much healthier and happier.
Absolutely. I like having rules. It actually is fun to follow them.
And it's fun to break them too.
We break them.
Yeah.
It happens. But that is fun. But before we dive into that, I'm smelling some gratitude. You smell it?
I just smell the burgers we just ate, which were pretty great.
Yeah.
Thanks for grilling them, honey.
No problem. And that's what I'm grateful for.
You're grateful
is our grill.
That's a good thing to be grateful for.
It really is. I think sometimes we take it for granted, but tonight was just a perfect night. And we had no dinner plans tonight. You know, usually on the weekend we kind of shoot from the hip. Sometimes we'll go out on a date night. Other times we'll do chicken tenders. And I played golf today and got home and...
4?
Yeah.
You didn't do so hot, though.
I was great on the first 9. The back 9 was a dumpster fire. Absolute dumpster fire. But I digress. I won't get into that. But didn't really eat too much out there. You know, I think we stopped halfway through and just got a quick hot dog so we can get out there and try and wrap up.
Hot dogs are not that good. You
Wow.
don't eat one in your entire lifetime.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
I think they're fantastic. There's some spicy brown mustard on there and some relish. That'd be delicious.
Relish.
I hate relish. Anyways, so I was like, you know, what do we want to do for dinner? And you're like, how about we do some burgers on the grill? And I'm like, hell yeah. And we got outside to start grilling, and we're like, you know what? We're going to eat outside too. It's a gorgeous night. So, you know, we're going to do a lot of grilling this summer. I'd hope to get a smoker as well and start smoking some meats. Yeah, I know.
Easy there, fella.
But, you know, we also got some cedar for some salmon soon.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
we bought those cedar planks.
We're going to do a lot of grilling this summer. It's going to be fun.
I am
so
really pumped.
Very, very grateful for our gas grill.
Thank you, grill.
I want a charcoal grill, too.
Don't be greedy.
I know. What are you grateful for, Jilly?
I am grateful for my ears and the ability to hear.
It's a good thing to be grateful for.
I think sometimes we take for granted our senses, and don't get me wrong, the ability to see is fantastic, but this weekend I fully appreciated the ability to hear because I went to a concert with my mom and my sister and my aunt to hear Boney James, and if you guys do not know who Boney James is, you need to Google him now because he is an amazing saxophonist. Holy cow, I mean, seeing him live and hearing him live is just... face. I don't know how else to describe it. Like orgasm right there and then.
Ear orgasm?
Ear orgasms,
all
yes. Right. There's nothing coming out of my ears though. Gross.
Oh, Jesus, Jilly. She went there.
It's a good thing this is E-rated or, yes, explicit. Now that I know that means. But hearing him live, hearing him live in Annapolis was awesome.
There's the bee's knees.
Like, music is just fantastic. Like, I can't imagine what life would be like if I've never heard music. So, ears, thank you for allowing me to hear that beautiful music this weekend. It was truly fantastic.
I'll add on that. Ears have also helped us hear our beautiful daughter just blabber away this past week.
Oh my gosh.
She's like putting together so many things now, and yeah, proud parent moment this week.
You cried.
Well, I did, but our
You
daughter
don't
is
cry a lot
mobile.
either.
She is crawling around, and it is hysterical. Like, she is just going at it, and she's kind of got like a somewhat sideways crawl. Like, it's not exactly straight, but it is the cutest thing ever. And
I like her quirks.
we have reached that season of life, and I think we did a good job. And I'm kind of going back on something we talked about in earlier episodes, saying, I can't wait for this. We were very patient. She's 10 months old, and
We could wait.
We could wait, and we're now in a season of life where we have to, not that we weren't keeping a watchful eye on her all the time, but it is now serious to keep a watchful eye.
We're not like super helicopter
keep certain
parents,
doors closed.
but yeah, we're like, make sure that there's a safe boundary, and she's like a little free range chicken, like, roam around the house, but we got some fences for you.
Yeah. So, exciting times
It
in
is.
the Kaselniak household.
I know.
Yes.
It's really going by fast, and that's what everyone tells me. So I'm trying to appreciate every minute, every second, like that she's doing something.
I hope she crawls forever, because walking is just going to be a whole different beast.
Oh, it'll be exciting.
It will be. I will say this has been one of the most, I think, rewarding weeks. And not that every week hasn't been rewarding, but just seeing the pieces all come together, talking more, blabbering, whatever you want to say, the mamas, the dadas.
For sure.
It's just been an amazing week, and can't wait to see, and I'm saying can't wait to see, but
We can't wait.
we can, but what's going to happen next week?
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
I'm sure
I'm taking it 1 week at a time.
if there are any parents listening, they absolutely probably can resonate with what we're going through. And if you're not a parent, just know that having a kid, it's life-changing and a big responsibility, but it is so freaking rad to see something that you created develop and change each and every day. And I think that's what makes you appreciate your body even more and the life that you have. But anyway, I guess we should dive into the topic. Right?
Let's do it. Let's make some rules. We have some rules for this podcast.
So I think before diving in, just to preface that we started this podcast because we've been simplifying our life. And through simplifying our life, we really had to look at our life with a lot of intention and question what we were doing.
Yeah.
And one of the things I think we both were on the same page with is that the things that we do every day are we living the way that's best for us and our future self, or are we living at this specific way because we were raised that way and we're just following suit? And I think you really have to stop and reflect on things that you do every day, because you may be doing it just because you thought that's what you were supposed to do, quote, like society is telling you to do that, or
Right.
your parents were telling you to do that, and that's all you know. And I think it takes a lot of effort to stop and look at yourself and what you're doing and say, am I doing this because it's making me happy, or am I doing this because I feel pressured, or it's because I was raised this way?
Right.
And I think we've done a pretty good job of questioning a lot of things we've been doing and kind of making adjustments and kind of creating our quote unquote own rules to make our lives happier.
Well, and I also don't want to discount societal rules and
For sure.
societal norms. And I think that's where we get taught a lot of our normal rules, from how we were brought up. But, it's so refreshing to break the rules and create your own rules that work best for your life. And you don't have to follow the norm. Like,
I think,
be creative, be quirky.
Being normal is like boring.
Be weird, be yourself. At the end of the day, be yourself, and you and your partner, your family, have an opportunity to create rules to help you be yourselves and help you foster, the life of your child and how you want them to be. But at the end of the day, I want Lucille to feel comfortable in her own skin and, develop rules for herself.
Absolutely.
As she grows up. It doesn't necessarily have to be our rules, but as long as she's principled, whatever she's doing is making her happy. That's all I care about.
And I think as a teacher, I always thought rules were something that has to be very strict, and not a lot of leniency or creativity or flexibility. And my look on rules has completely changed. Now I see rules as more of interchanging rituals or boundaries that are constantly changing depending on our life And we just make sure that we're always living the way we want our future self to live. Like whatever we're choosing now, it's because that's what we want our future self to look like. And I think it's important that we take ownership of how we want to live, and we are the ones who create the rules, not society, not our parents, not anybody else, because nobody knows what makes us happy but ourselves. And I think we have to be very confident and know that we know what's best for us. And I think it's a lot of hard work to go against the grain and to go against what everybody else is doing. But I think if you start doing what's best for yourself, people start picking up on it, and then they start questioning you like, why are you so happy? Like, what are you guys doing? And it's like, well, we're not doing what everyone else is doing. We're doing what makes us happy. And it may look really weird to a lot of people, but in the end, it's what benefits us.
Well, on the flip side of the coin, you don't have to explain yourself to anybody.
True.
Like, you're responsible for yourself, your family, and that's it. You know, obviously, we try to be responsible for more than just ourselves, but I always feel like the rule is if you don't take care of yourself, how can you take care of anybody else?
True.
And there are people who tend to take care of other people before they take care of themselves. And it's great taking care of other people. A lot of people find joy in taking care of other people, but at the end of the day, I really feel like taking care of yourself is a big thing. And I'm trying to bring this back, but you know, creating rules for yourselves, for your family is kind of all, you know, what I'm kind of getting at right there is that make sure when you create rules, it's going to make you happy at the end.
We're kind of going back to our self-care episode.
Yeah, it really, and you know, we're going to see a lot of tying into past episodes, and there's going to be rules that I think we're going to bring up for each and every topic that we talked about. So that's what we'll kind of dive into. Yeah.
So I don't want you guys to think like these rules are very strict and rigid. These are flexible. They're always changing. And
you always have to evaluate. I was getting ready to say, you always have to reevaluate and make sure, because the rule you had last week might not be the rule that you need to follow this week, or the one that you had last year. Life changes, and you have to recognize when things change and make those adjustments.
And I know you said that, you know, we don't have to explain ourselves to anyone, but I do think it's important that we have a why for everything.
Sure.
So if somebody asks you like why you're doing that, I think we should always have the answer like, I'm doing this because it makes me happy. Like that could be your general answer for anything. Like, I don't understand why you're doing this. Oh, it makes me happy. Like, who's going to question you for saying that?
Right.
It brings me joy. And then you're smiling. It's like, oh, I guess I really have nothing negative to say about that. So
How could you say anything
I think it's good to be prepared with like a general statement for your why. If anyone does ask you that, you just say like, it makes me feel really good.
Yeah, I agree.
So do you want me to start with some of our quote unquote rules that we've set so far?
Have at it.
So I think a lot of people may already know this, especially if they follow me on Instagram, is that we have a rule for cooking dinner.
Yes.
And it's saved my sanity, and we call it designated meal nights. Yeah. And each night of the week, we assign a specific type of meal, like it's pizza or pasta or tacos. Or Brinner. And having that boundary or those rules for each night of the week has made our life so much less chaotic. And now that my mom's watching Lucille, she knows our rhythms and our routines and our rules for eating. And she's kind of put in her own flair to it and added some creativity to it. And it's just been a breath of fresh air.
Well, and I will say, you name basically the 4 designated meal nights that we have. However, we change it up. Like, our tacos are never the same meat. Our pizzas are never the same. Our pastas are never the same. Brinner is never the same. Like, it's different every week. But
little small tweaks.
Those are the things that we follow. Except we changed the order up this week. I don't know why. You threw me off big time.
Tacos were not on Tuesday.
They weren't on. Yeah, that's almost
Nick
sacrosanct.
cried that night.
I was on my way home like Taco Tuesday.
I'm so sorry.
It was Brinner night, which, listen, I love Brinner.
And that's what I mean.
Brinner's
like, there's got to
awesome.
be some flexibility in there.
There has to be. I agree, but I was thrown off a little bit.
I'm so sorry, babe.
But no, it was great. Brinner this week was awesome.
I'm trying to remember. Oh, my mom. So this is how having those rituals and routines is just fantastic, and those rules, because my mom knew that we have Brinner, and you know, I have a little meal plan that I just put up on the fridge. It's really simple. So she saw that, oh, they're not having tacos tonight, they're having Brinner, and she decided to take it upon herself to make whole wheat biscuits with just the ingredients we had in our house.
Those were good.
And it was so awesome coming home, and I'm like, I made biscuits. I don't know if they turned out okay. And oh my God, like every night of the week I'd come home and I'd have a cup of coffee and I would have one biscuit with like cherry jam, and it was like, oh, thank you,
She
Mom.
even salt bathed those shits, and those were nice.
She did salt bathe them. But yeah, so
And if you guys don't know who Salt Bae is, just look up the hashtag on Instagram.
it's pretty
Fantastic.
Even my kids know what it is, because if anybody has kids that are old enough to know what Fortnite is, oh my God, there's like a Salt Bae character who does a dance, and they're like, oh, Salt Bae. And I was like, do you even know who Salt Bae is? And they're like, no. And I'm like, I showed them the YouTube video of Salt Bae.
I will say, if you're not a vegetarian, you will absolutely appreciate Salt Bae. That's all I'm going to say.
It's meat-tastic.
So yes, no, I would say designated meal nights as a rule in our house has simplified just our cooking
And our health.
and our health
Like trying to decide
and our sanity.
what kind
It's
of
kept our sanity.
healthy food or healthy meals, because there's so many resources out there. It just kind of helps with the decisions.
Yeah. I mean, how many of you out there struggle with figuring out which meal to cook any night? Like, is it a struggle every day to think of something new to cook, or do you have a plan? We have a plan, and it's easy to follow. It's easy to, I don't want to say replicate, but it's easy to, like I said, make it a little bit different each week. So, but we know what we're
Kind
cooking.
of make it your own.
Yeah.
And that, if you want to know more about that, that is, I forgot what episode, but
Yeah.
that's all about meal planning.
Yeah.
Check.
I got a rule.
Oh,
Yeah.
all right. What's another rule we have?
Our rule is to make sure we are intimate twice a week.
Very good, sweetheart.
Yeah.
And I think we just realized that we are always,
It was kind of an
do we
unspoken
have to say
rule.
intimate? We have sex, okay? Can we just
Yeah.
use the words? We don't need to baby talk this. We have intercourse.
Well,
And we just,
I like sex.
I just realized that we always have intercourse on Wednesdays, which is hump day.
which is hump day.
Which is so appropriate.
Which is like our midweek cocktail night too.
Because that's when we do podcast planning.
Podcast planning. Yeah. That creativity. So we listened to a podcast earlier this week, and it had a fitness guy on there. Or I guess he was more wellness at this point. He used to be a trainer, but he said creativity. There's two things that spark creativity. It's either coffee or alcohol. Now, there's probably other substances out there that
Yes,
spark
like
creativity.
time to yourself. It's boredom.
Well,
Our last
I was
episode,
talking
babe?
about other,
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. I see where you're going.
So pick your poison, folks.
Yes, which kind of brings me, so we make sure that we have
Sex?
sex at least twice a week. And if we don't get it twice a week, it's not like we're like, oh my God, we broke the rules. Like, it is what it is. If we
Yeah.
have it 3 times, that's like, cha-ching.
Bonus.
Yeah. But we do make it a priority to be intimate at least 2 times a week. And it's not like I feel like I'm forced. Like, Nick's very good at putting me in the mood, and he knows me very well, and we mix
Julie.
it up.
What's your thoughts on tonight?
Possible.
I like what you did there.
But it does bring me to another rule I think we've kind of created,
All
which
right.
is cocktails. And I don't know about you. You might be different because I go to bed before you, but I try not to have alcohol more than 2 times a week.
Right.
So I know I'm going to do, well, right now our season of life
Wednesday.
is Wednesday. I have 1 cocktail on Wednesday because we do our podcast planning, and it's a nice little thing to look forward to.
Mm-hmm.
And then I usually have a cocktail either on Friday night or Saturday. So I try to make it, I'd say 2 to 3 to be
Yeah,
real.
because it
to
might be,
real.
you may have a Friday and a Saturday one.
True. But I tell myself, like, I'm not going to go past 3 because to me, that's just like the balance is off. And it's not going to be as special if I have it all the time. And obviously, it's not going to be good for my body
Right.
if I have that all the time. So I do set kind of rules on my alcohol consumption. And I don't know about you, Nick. What do you do? Do you have any kind of rules for that? Or do you just kind of, you're just in
My rule is to definitely during the weekdays, no more than 2, but try to stick with 1. And then on the weekends, I very
Wait,
rarely
every
go over
night?
2. No.
Oh, okay.
So if I am going to drink during, so I'm at this stage in my life right now where I am really enjoying crafting cocktails and following different cocktail recipes. And I want to
You're
give a
getting
shout
really
out.
good at it too.
I want to give a shout out to the Educated Barfly on YouTube because he may not be the most polished person, but I'm learning a lot from him as far as making cocktails, and it's fascinating. Like he's even talking about the importance of ice and stirring versus shaking.
Like small tweaks.
It's
and
just
things
small
that just
tweaks, and
change
it
the
makes
cocktail.
all the difference in the world. And so to me, it's just something that excites me. And if I can get home one night and, and it's not every night, but I just feel like creating.
I think it.
And
I think
it's
it
just
rocks.
like, and
I do.
I'll try something different. So I've been really a whiskey, so more bourbon, rye, scotch, kind of a drinker, and I try to create my drinks around those. But now I'm kind of floating into the gin area. Like I made a Negroni the other night, which was really good. Which Campari is and I know we're going really off a topic here, but it's something I can talk about for hours. Campari is a very bitter alcohol component, and finding a sweet vermouth that balances that, I finally found one. So like, I don't know, I just get really excited about that.
I think
Sorry
it's
for going off
exciting.
on a rant.
I almost want to have a podcast when we do our date night of just about cocktails, because I think not only I think have we saved money, but it's almost like once you eat real food, you don't want to eat garbage anymore. And I used to think of myself as a food snob, but now I just think of, I just want to put the best stuff in my body. And if I'm going to have a cocktail, I want it to taste freaking amazing. And you have found really good ingredients to make, like my favorite cocktail is the bee's knees.
Yes.
Which Nicholas has perfected. And if you guys would like to know like how to do it, like we can totally talk about that on date night.
Yeah.
But man, it's just really simple ingredients mixed together, and you've just really worked hard, and I'm so proud of you, because I feel like any other night we'd be watching, like old us would be watching TV so much that we probably you would have never found that like new passion of like crafting cocktails. And now that we have free time and quote unquote we're being more bored.
Yeah.
We both have more time to be creative and find those little avenues of time that, or just passions that we didn't know were there.
Yeah,
and I just think it's
agree.
fantastic.
I really do attribute, and we're kind of going back to the last episode a little bit, but yeah, I mean, we've found some new inspiration. We're being more creative, whether it's creating cocktails, whether it's talking about podcast episodes. So yeah, no, it's been really great. So
I love it, babe.
yeah. So rules,
Rules.
cocktails twice a week, sometimes 3 or 4.
So kind of, since we're still talking about food, this is kind of minor, but for me, it's helped me to try to put as close to real foods as possible. But every once in a while, like, don't get me wrong, I love a good baked good, croissant, donut, all of the above. And I don't have any allergies. So I actually have a rule for myself about baked goods, like whether that be a croissant or a donut, that it either has to be like homemade or it needs to be super fresh, or I won't touch it. And that kind of helps put boundaries on when there's stuff in the teacher's lounge, or when someone comes up to me and wants me to have something sweet. So like, for example, like being a teacher, there are always birthday parties and celebrations, and those store-bought cupcakes, they mean nothing to me. They are totally not worth it, because I feel like once you have an amazing gourmet, or not even gourmet, like homemade cupcake,
Right.
that somebody who really put a lot of time and effort in making, it's like once you taste that, to me, my taste buds are trained to appreciate someone's love that went into it. And to me, when it's like store-bought, it's like over sweet. It's just not as good. So that's how I kind of set boundaries on like sweet stuff, because I know it's hard. Like,
Yeah, it's definitely
there's
hard.
sugar everywhere in our society. So I set boundaries for myself that if I'm going to get a good croissant, like I'm going to go to the best place that we know in Annapolis to get a croissant.
I've got 2 comments. Number 1, we learned how difficult it is to make a scone because your sister made scones last weekend.
Holy cow.
Holy shit, they were so good. And baked good, that was fantastic. Like, she pre-made them, and then I remember waking up Saturday morning, you put them in the oven.
Yeah.
You woke up early. It was like 6:15. It was like 6:30. And all of a sudden, I'm like waking up because I'm smelling this deliciousness coming out of the kitchen. So that was great. The other, was it baked goods we were talking about?
Yes.
Man, I had something else. Anyways, nah, we'll just go with that.
No.
The scone was good.
And if you guys need a good gluten-free, healthier scone option, I do have one on my blog, which we can put in the notes. But the scone recipe on my blog is very simple, just like our podcast. But yeah, my sister did make an original scone with like white flour and sugar, but that process sounded like she put a lot of love in that. Like, it sounded like it took like maybe 2 hours.
Oh, at least.
Between refrigerating and not refrigerating
It's
and getting the
crazy.
butter the right temperature. I mean, I had so much more appreciation for eating that. So that's kind of like my rule on baked goods. And I think it helps me be obviously healthier and just appreciate it more once it's like homemade and really fresh. And
I remember what I was going to say. It was about sugar.
oh,
Because we were talking about having rules. I know a lot of people out there are soda drinkers. I made a rule 6 years ago to stop drinking soda completely, but I saw something interesting online the other day. It said if you drank 1 soda a day per year, they had a bag full of sugar to represent the amount of sugar. It was 4 pounds of sugar.
in 1 year or in
In
one soda?
1 year.
4 pounds?
4 pounds. If you drank 1 soda a day
For a year.
for a year,
4 pounds.
that's 4 pounds of sugar
Shit.
in your body. And they were basing that on 28-day months because February is 28 days. So
Okay.
add in a couple of days, you're probably looking at 4.25 pounds. Holy shit.
It's funny because
Sugar's so bad.
Well,
it's so bad.
it just goes to everything. Like, people don't think that doing something small every day makes a difference, and that just goes to show you that doing something small positively has a difference. Like, if you don't think you have time to walk, take a 5-minute walk every day. That shit adds up. So, like, negatively, positively, those little things do add up. But that's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Do we have any rules for working out? I know I'm trying to get better at walking. You do a great job at walking. Not so much.
But I've changed my verbiage. Remember, honey?
Movement.
I've changed my vocabulary instead of saying workout to movement because it makes me feel way less guilty. So now instead of asking myself, did I work out today? Should I do a workout? It's like, did I move today?
Yeah.
And the answer is always yes. So my view on movement is I kind of have a rule that I move throughout the day. Like, there is no, right now, this season of life, I don't have a set time where I put aside for a quote unquote workout, but I do make sure that I am walking throughout the day. I don't work during my breaks anymore. So I have a couple breaks during my day as a teacher. And instead of working, I've started walking outside, and it is life-changing. I think and I was trained that I always saw teachers working during their break, and I assumed that I had to. But once I started changing like our whole way of living and how I was teaching, and am I doing this like with intention, or am I doing this just because I see other people doing it? It's like completely changed. So incorporating self-care or movement throughout my day has just made me happier, less stressed at work. And this kind of ties back to our wardrobe episode.
Yeah.
How I dress myself so that I am ready to move at all times. So I'm not wearing high heels or anything that's restricting. My pants are flexible. I wear things that make me feel comfortable and confident so that I can move at any point during the day. So it's like I don't have any excuses why I shouldn't be moving.
I'd like to make a rule for myself, and I'm going to really try to make this a point, is to get outside now that it's getting nice. And that shouldn't be the only reason why I do this, but I do need to get away from my desk for a little bit. Like, I usually get up and maybe use the restroom or something like that, grab coffee or anything, but I really do need to make a point to get outside at least for 15 minutes.
And the health benefits of just being outside are...
I think I'm also going to bring a
It's
kettlebell to
really
work
good.
too.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm proud of you.
Yeah.
I like
I
that
got
you're...
inspired.
During this, we're talking about our rules now, is that you're kind of setting rules for like what you want to do next. I like that.
Yeah, I mean, rules, goals, whatever we want to call them, but we can do movement throughout the day. And I know we both listened to a podcast recently on the Minimalist, and
We should definitely put that in the show notes.
Yeah, we're gonna put that in the show notes because this guy was just talking about how he fills up his NutriBullet, and those 60 seconds that he's blending whatever drink he's doing some kind of jumping jacks or something like that.
It's so
like,
simple, too.
He just does movement throughout the day and certain routines. Like, he has a pull-up bar somewhere in the middle of his house, and when he passes that pull-up bar, he has to do pull-ups.
That's so freaking rad.
It's just awesome. Like, just like, you know what? I'm going to put a pull-up bar over our bathroom.
And that's another thing. I think we're trained that like society and everyone else around us, that our house has to look a certain way. And it's like, why not create your home to help create the best version of you? So if, you don't want to set aside an hour of just straight workout or going to the gym, if that's not where your season of life is, like, create that atmosphere that makes you want to move inside your home.
Right.
Like, I want to shout out to my friend Morgan in Miami. She turned her living room and she put all these like foam mats in her living room because she's doing like yoga, and I think it's pronounced Budokan. She's doing all of this movement stuff. So she transformed her living room into what she's doing that's making her feel great. And I think it's all about creating an atmosphere that's going to create the best you. And I think by putting a pull-up bar in our bathroom, like, people may be like, that's strange. Like, why do you have that? It's like, oh, because before I go in the bathroom, I do 3 pull-ups and then I go to the bathroom, and it, helps keep my strength. I'm not stressed out that I have to work out like for hours, like on certain days. And it just makes me want to like change everyone's thinking about their home and how they make it to be the best them, and not to like think it has to be that way.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who's like, well, this is the dining room because this is where they said the dining room is. This is the living room because this is where they said, like, we changed our dining room. And I know we talked about this on an episode beforehand. We basically changed what our designated dining room, according to the house model, is into our butler's pantry. It's where our coffee is. We have plates in there. That's where we store our booze. Like, we're in there every day. It's not a room that we're not in. The only room that we really probably don't utilize, which I think as Lucille gets a little bit older, we'll start utilizing it, is what we've changed to our dining room, which used to be the living room where the quote unquote dining room table is. We'll start using that for family dinners. Yeah,
that's like the only table we have where you can actually sit down.
Because we have an island in our kitchen. Like, we
use the island all the
time. Our
time.
house is not conventional whatsoever, but it works for us. Like, we've changed it into something that really, really works for us.
I agree.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you grew up with the formal dining room and then you had the antiques.
Yeah, we were in it twice a year for Easter and Christmas.
And it's like, did you ever use those antiques or those? No. The fancy china? It's like, no,
for Easter and Christmas, maybe.
It just sat there in our home. We never used it. So if you get anything from this episode, at least question like what's around you too. Like, not just what you're doing, but look around you. Like, is this serving a purpose? Does this actually make me happy? Or am I doing it just because that's what my parents did or that's what everyone else is doing? Because I'll say, F that. Do what makes you happy.
F that.
I'm trying not to.
I know, we're kind of... So I kind of feel like we're kind of a little all over the place in this episode, but I think it's very constructive what we're talking about.
Hopefully.
And I hope so too. But rules, I think maybe rules have gotten us to this point where we can start talking about these other topics as well. What other rules we got here, Jilly?
So I know I feel like food is so important, so I have one more rule that we kind of set with.
So we have food, sex, and alcohol in this house. That's the only thing we have rules around.
And coffee. No, we don't have rules about coffee. There's no rules about coffee.
No, there is a rule about coffee.
Is there?
Sure there is.
Oh, well, I mean, like, there's no rule about consumption of coffee.
No, we can
like,
have
I'll drink coffee when I want coffee.
We have to have
fresh beans.
Fresh ground coffee.
Fresh ground coffee.
Yeah. So, and it's funny, even at work, we have fresh ground coffee.
For real?
Yeah, we have a little machine where it grinds the beans right there, and then...
Shazam!
Yeah. So, yeah, that's another rule of mine. Fresh ground coffee.
Yeah. But this rule is about our fridge and our pantry. Mostly our fridge. We have to use what we have in the fridge before using anything else.
Before going to the grocery store.
Before going to the grocery store, like, we have to empty it out, and I don't
mean empty
it
condiments.
out. Yes, I don't mean empty it out.
I'm not throwing out ketchup every week.
No, I mean like leftovers, or there might be leftover meal preps, or just scraps of something we had from dinner. We have to find a way to incorporate it in either breakfast, lunch, or dinner before we go grocery shopping, because nothing in this house gets wasted.
No.
And that has sparked a lot of creativity in our home, which has been really fun. For example, spaghetti sauce. Sometimes we run out of noodles. And we're like, what are we going to do with the spaghetti sauce? Well, we've made some fantastic egg dishes, which we call eggs in purgatory, which is you put the spaghetti sauce in a skillet and you crack some eggs in there, add a little bit of spices, and it just makes this delicious, hearty breakfast that you can eat with toast or whatever your heart's desire. And I think I just want to, like, I don't know, motivate some of you that if you have something from a meal and you're like, I have no idea what to do with this, like, try to think outside the box and try something new, because you might surprise yourself and use it in a really fun way. And I know with Lucille, I'm excited to get her ideas when she gets older, and my mom's kind of chiming in with creativity ideas.
Well, shit, I mean, even breakfast this morning, I called it the breakfast hodgepodge, which we had. Yeah. So we have potatoes that we threw in a skillet, and then ham, some frozen kale, some red peppers, and eggs, and just mix it all together. Like, it was all mixed together, and it was fantastic.
And I feel like if you don't know what to do with like crazy weird leftovers, you can't go wrong with either putting it in a pasta dish or putting it in some kind of like breakfast frittata or scramble. Like, those two things can always use random ingredients and turn out okay. Like, you can't screw it up, in my eyes.
I haven't had a bad dish in this house at all.
That makes me feel good because I'm doing most of the cooking. But I just love that you're open to new things.
Well, I'm open to good food, and we have good food.
So keeping on the topic of food,
Man,
tell we love food. I feel like we kind of have a rule about eating out.
Yeah.
We don't really eat out more than 3 times a week. And if we do eat out, it's mostly on the weekends.
It usually is. Like, I can't tell you the last time that we, in the middle of the week, said, oh, let's order out or anything like that. Usually, Friday night's either reserved for date night or eating in.
True.
And sometimes, even if we eat in on a Friday night, it might be chicken tenders and tater tots.
Yum.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think
it's good. But yeah, I would say 3 max. 3 at the max.
3 max, yeah.
Uber bagels.
Can we have that tomorrow, babe?
Okay.
Sweet.
You're buying.
Just kidding. I just went grocery shopping too, and we have eggs. Dang it. But if we go back to our budgeting episode, we don't have enough money in the fund. We can't buy Uber bagels.
Why
tomorrow.
not?
I'll have to reevaluate my budget to see what my spending is. Anyway.
Fair enough.
So, moving on from the topic of food, I think we have some rules about...
We're done with food.
We're done with food,
Okay, cool.
I don't know about you, but I think we have rules about laundry. Whether or not you know it or not, I think everyone has rules, and we've created... And this is one of those things where I grew up with my mom doing laundry once a week. And that is a habit that has been instilled in me. And I think it's a habit that I like. So I'm keeping it. So I do laundry once a week with my clothes. And because I don't have a lot of clothes, I combine mine with Lucille's. Makes a full load. It's good to go. And I know a lot of people are different and they want their load to be like super big. Big load.
Jesus Christ.
I'm so sorry. Some people like to do their...
Somebody might be getting lucky tonight then.
Some of you might doing laundry and there's like a giant load. I can't talk about this and say load. Anyway, I like small loads. I like having less clothes to put away. So
you would like small loads.
Shut up, Nick. But anyway, I like having once a week laundry because my load's smaller and it's less for me to put away. And we also do our towels and our cloth napkins and our rags once a week too. Because we don't have enough to last for like 2 to 3 weeks. We buy just enough to last us probably about a week and a half. And I like that because it takes up less storage and it just keeps us on our toes with, keep it on top of it so it's not building up to be like chaotic and stressful. Like I like smaller, I guess.
Yeah. So my rule with laundry is I do it once every 2 weeks because that's about how long I have with fresh underwear. I have probably enough for 17 days.
That's very exact.
Yeah, maybe 18. I don't know. But I tend to do bigger loads.
I'm so sorry.
But I also wear the same clothes. Like I don't give it one run. Like unless I'm out there sweating my ass off in clothes, I give them more than one run before I wash them. So I feel like I don't need to do them once a week, and the small load doesn't make any difference to me. Don't laugh, Jill.
I'm not.
You are. That's why you're turned away from the microphone. But I don't mind doing a bigger, and I don't sort either. Like my whites and everything like that are mixed together.
Oh,
but,
same.
But I also...
Do people still sort stuff?
I don't know. I mean...
I don't know either.
So the only time I will sort is if I'm doing my, what quote unquote delicates, which are my dress shirts. which I get my dress shirts from Twillery, and you can wash them, and it's better than going to the dry cleaners with them. Like, they turn out perfectly. Like,
They look pretty handsome too.
So that's been a nice thing. And then if I have a fresh pair of reds that I buy, that gets a wash by itself before it gets mixed in with anything else.
Fresh pair of reds?
Anything red.
Oh.
Because they bleed on your first wash.
See, I kind of eliminated reds from my wardrobe because I realized red wasn't a color that I really liked. So I don't have many reds. Actually, I have 0 reds because we were supposed to wear red one day at work and I had no reds to wear. And I just was like, sorry guys, I don't have red. But
I got my caps gear. That's
True.
red.
Yeah.
But yeah, so for the most part, as long as you're washing, and I wash on cold water, like you don't need hot water for anything. Like, why am I going to waste the water in my hot water heater?
That's another thing we were trained.
Like,
I don't know if you
ridiculous.
guys were trained a certain way to wash your clothes and, it's imprinted and you start doing it and then it's like, wait a minute, do I have to use hot water all the time? Do I have to use
you don't
this
have to use
detergent
hot water at all?
Jeezy, you're really passionate about hot
I'm
water.
passionate about saving money.
Me too.
Yeah.
It's good for the environment.
So, and then I usually dry on like a medium. I don't do the very high setting, but
You're
that
giving
also
a lot of specifics here.
Well, yeah, because I don't
Thank
want
you.
bleeding to happen.
Very good.
Yeah. So that's my rule, 2 weeks.
Okay. I like how ours is a little bit different, but
Yeah.
and I don't know if you know this, guys, but we do our own laundry. That's just how we are. I know some people, do each other's laundry, and I think that's great. So make it your own, whatever makes
I
you
don't
happy.
trust anybody folding my clothes.
I know, and I love that because I don't have to do it. Anyway, moving
Marie
on.
Kondo style.
I think this moves on to purchasing clothes and furniture. We kind of
Have
have
we purchased any furniture?
no, but we've kind of adapted this one in, one out rule. So I
Yeah.
don't know, especially with Lucille, like if we bring in some kind of like giant contraption for her, like we have that little standing thing for her, fill the toys around it.
Yeah.
If we brought that in, we got rid of a piece of furniture. So pretty much if we bring in something large, we have to take out something large because adding more and more is just going to make our lives more stressful. It's more to clean. It's more to maintain. So we kind of have adapted this one in, one out rule without making it an official rule. And I think it's awesome because I don't know about you, but I kind of have my own rule that we are never, ever going to buy another thing to store furniture in or to store more stuff in. Like, I don't want to ever buy something to store stuff in again. I want to make use with the space we have. And if there's not enough room with the space we have, then we need to get rid of something. And I think that kind of helps set boundaries on what you have instead of like, buying a storage unit or just buying an extra dresser. It's like, no, what we have is what we have.
Yeah.
And if we runneth over, if we runneth over, then we have to eliminate. And that kind of keeps us, I feel like, a lot happier, and we are saving so much money because none of us are shopping nearly as much as we used to.
Would you like a cherry?
I would like a cherry, thank you.
So that's the other thing too, is like with our clothes, and we've talked about this on our wardrobe episode, is that whenever clothes come in, something has to go out.
Yep.
Like, we have a certain amount of storage, and we're not going to put anything in bins and then store that away. Like, if it doesn't fit in our drawers, if it doesn't fit in our closet, then we've got to get rid of shit. So that's been kind of a rule. Like, I need to buy new dress pants, and I have some in the closet. When those 2 to 3 pairs of new dress pants come in, 2 to 3 pairs of dress pants are going out. Gone.
Can I bring this up because I think other people could resonate with you?
Sure.
I know there's some dress pants that don't fit you anymore.
Yeah.
And I think it's kind of good to talk about. There are things that we may like or be like, oh my God, like these used to fit, but they don't. I'm going to hold on to them. And I know we talked about this in our wardrobe episode. And I think you're doing a great job of just taking ownership of like where you are now and just embracing it, because I don't know about you, but I think you look beautiful and handsome and hot. And just because you're not fitting in the same pants you used to, like, I don't think that changes anything. And I know there's some people that may be holding on to things because they were a certain weight or they looked a certain way. But I think just loving who you are now and just embracing it and just kind of like shedding that extra weight or that extra pressure, extra expectations that you're holding on to be a certain way or look a certain way, if that is causing you stress in any certain capacity, I think you just need to get rid of it and move on, because it's doing you a disservice. And you may get back to a certain size if you want to, but there's always going to be options for you to buy something else. But why waste your time and energy storing stuff if it's not serving you now? And I think life is all about living for the now. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think for the future is obviously important, especially saving money and all that. But I think when it comes to clothes and wardrobe, like if it's taking up so much space in your life that it's causing you stress to store, or just that pressure to lose weight or look a certain way, like get rid of it.
Yeah. Well, the only thing I've got hanging around are those Banana Republic pants. They're going.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. I won't fit in them again. I bought them when I was in that stage where I was stressed from work and I lost all that weight.
Yeah.
And I needed a pair of pants that fit. So they're gone. I know. Even though they're a nice color.
They were a nice color. Really, but you know what? There's so many options out there.
There's other pants out there.
There are.
There's plenty of pants in the pants sea.
Cheesy. All right, so moving on from clothes and furniture, I know we've kind of set our own rules with buying consumables. When I say consumables, I mean like cleaning products, toothpaste, mouthwash, toilet paper, tissues.
We did just set that rule not too long ago, too.
We did, and it's one of those rules where we didn't set to begin with, but after we started doing...
So long, Costco.
We never even had a membership to Costco. But ever since we started like really looking intentionally at what we buy, we've started realizing that we don't have to have extras of everything.
Yeah, no bulk.
No,
like we don't need 36 rolls of toilet paper.
Because it just takes up more storage, more mind clutter. And so now, like if we need a tube...
Like if you're going to the grocery store every week, you can pick up fucking toilet paper.
Jeez, you're dropping that bomb more than me. That's a changer. Anyway, so if we need toothpaste, we don't buy like 5 tubes of toothpaste. We just buy 1 tube of toothpaste. And I don't know about you, babe, but buying only what we need is beautiful.
Yeah.
I think we're in this mindset that we're always afraid that we're going to run out, because I don't know about anybody else. My mom was always that person that had to buy like 2 or 3 of everything just in case. And I think we've been trained to be prepared, quote unquote, just in case. And we don't have to be. Like, buy what you need. It's always going to be there. Like, and especially I've started this new rule of like when they have these like sales, like, oh, buy 3, get 1 free or something like that. And I'm like, that's okay. I'm just going to buy what I need.
Yeah.
Because they only want me to buy more to spend more money. And
exactly.
I don't need to spend more money right now. So I've kind of had this rule to avoid sales, because sales tend to only make me buy what I don't need.
Exactly.
So I have like the blinders on when it comes to sale prices, really. And I'm going to buy the product that we want. And that's all.
I like it.
Okay. Cool.
It stores things a lot easier in our house. Like, again, there's no clutter or anything like that. We have room under our sink in our bathroom. We have room pretty much everywhere, because we're not storing toilet paper or paper towels or 5 tubes of toothpaste or mouthwash. I mean, it's fantastic. Like, we buy what we need when we need it.
And some people are like, oh, isn't that a nuisance to have to go back out? But it's like,
we don't have to go. We go out when we go out. And when we get close to running out, we're like, okay, yeah, we have a 1/4 tube of toothpaste left. Let's go get another tube of toothpaste.
But I also think it makes you be more intentional with how you use your products. If you always know there's like a mass of that in your home, I feel like you use it more frivolously. Thank you. If that makes any sense. Like if I knew there was like 3 tubes of toothpaste, I may squirt a lot more of my toothpaste. And if some goes off in the sink, it's squirt. But you know what I'm saying? Like I feel like you use everything with more intention when you know there's a scarcity.
Yes.
And I think we forget what that's like because we're always prepared for...
We live lives of abundance.
Exactly. So I think that it's important to have some kind of scarcity in your home, or that sense of scarcity, so that way it makes you use everything with more intention.
I agree.
Cool. How are we on time, baby?
We got one more roll left. And then we got to shift to that quote of the day.
I like it. So my last
Make it a good one.
My last rule that I have set is it has to do with our to-do list or our events that are on our calendar. And I don't have a strict rule.
I have a strict rule.
I don't.
Put it on the Google Calendar at the right time.
It's just less is more.
Oh, yeah.
I try not to put a ton of things on my to-do list. If I put one thing on my to-do list, if I get it done, then I may or may not get something else done. But I find that if I just put one thing on my list, I feel less stressed and I feel more at ease, and I like it. Like, I like when I see your calendar has space, and I think some of us fear space, but I like having space because it doesn't make me in a hurry. And I feel like if we're always in a hurry or trying to get from one thing to the next, which I know is going to happen in life, but I feel like we put more pressure on ourselves. We put more pressure on our kids if we have kids to like do something quicker, do something faster. And I don't like that type of lifestyle anymore. I'm all about the slug life.
Yeah. Well, and
we've
never been really actively seeking to fill our calendars at all.
No.
And it's nice to, I mean, there are certain things that we have to plan out. You know, we have a lot of friends who have kids and, you know, they've got different things going on. And when we try to get more than one family together, it's a little tough. So we have to plan that out. But I mean, for the most part, like if we don't have anything going on, like the weekend is our oyster. And we can adjust, you know, depending on the weather. You know, we can say, hey, we're going for a hike, we're going for a walk, or I'm going to go play golf this weekend or whatever.
I love our flexibility.
Yeah, we're very flexible, and I truly appreciate and am grateful for that flexibility because it allows us to do things on a whim. And usually when we do things on a whim, like it's
spontaneity is healthy. I feel like
it's awesome.
I love planned things, but spontaneity is what brings excitement to your life. And if there is a struggle or a problem, like that's where we grow. Like those are growing pains. And I know that if someone asks us to do something, we never put 2 events in one day. Even if we think we can do it, we like to enjoy that experience, whatever we're doing, and make it meaningful, take our time, not feel rushed. And I like that about our life now, and not trying to do it all and be it all. Like there's no reason to.
This is our season.
Yeah, I think this is something that we're going to keep going for a while, though.
Yeah.
Like, for sure, less is more when it comes to events and just activities throughout the day.
Just wait until Lucille's events start coming in.
Well, that's in another episode because we're going to let her choose what she wants to be involved in.
So do we have any resources we want to share with our lovely audience here?
There was one resource. It's a blog called mindbodygreen.com, and she's also on Instagram. And she has a really interesting blog post that just talks about 5 steps to make your own rules.
Ooh.
And to me, I could resonate with all of them. So I'm not going to dive super deep into them. But number 1 is get connected. And I think that has to do with being bored and just pause and being comfortable with listening to what your body needs, what's around you, and just being present. Number 2 is just to shed what's not serving you.
Yeah.
So looking at your life, writing down everything you're doing during the day, and just looking at, is this serving me or is it not serving me? Like, get rid of the stuff that's not bringing you any joy.
Yeah, I agree. Like, that's totally, I think we've done a really good job at that. And things are less stressful. It's a lot easier to enjoy life.
True talk. Number 3 is just to make space. And I think we just talked about that when it comes to planning our calendar. Like, without space, there's no room for creativity or spontaneity. And I think that's so important, especially if you want to keep that connection with people, like to make time for those face-to-face physical connections with people. And that's what brings us joy.
Absolutely.
Number 4 is to allow creativity. So making sure that whatever rules you're creating for your life is just to find something that you like to do that's creative and fun. And I think we kind of covered that in our side hustle episode. And now that you're getting into cocktails, like we're finding things that we never thought we'd be interested in.
Right.
And it's just sparking new meaning to us.
I've got a lot of creativity flowing here.
For real. And I think just because you're married, you don't have to do everything together. Like,
no.
You're diving into cocktails, I'm diving more into like nutrition coaching, and we kind of have our own thing going on.
And that's an episode 2 that we're going to dive into.
Yeah, these are all connecting. I see what you're saying about our episodes. And
Simplified Chaos.
Stop it.
Episode, you name it.
And her last rule is just to make new rules. just to always formulate and create new rules for where you are in life, and to not make them rigid and strict, to be flexible and just do what's best for you and what's making you feel happy and healthy and what's going to be best for your future self.
Couldn't have said it better myself. I like that.
Cool beans.
Good rules to follow. Take some action, folks.
Agreed.
Make some rules in your life.
Yes.
What's that quote of the day looking like, Jilly?
Our quote of the day is by Lou Holtz.
Lou Holtz.
Lou Holtz.
Do you know who Lou Holtz is?
I have no idea.
Lou Holtz used to coach Notre Dame football.
Really?
Yeah. And now is an ESPN now. Actually, I don't know if he's still on ESPN or not.
I'm glad that you know who this is, because I look up quotes, but I don't always know who says the quotes.
Okay. So now you know.
Well, let me know how you feel about this quote.
Hit it to me, Lou.
I follow 3 rules. Do the right thing, do the best we can, and always show people you care.
I like it.
I feel like if
My
your
man,
rules
Lou.
align with those, you're on the right track.
Perfect. Thanks, Lou. Do you have any take action items, or is that it?
Our take action is just to
Make
pause.
some rules.
Well, first you have to pause, look at what you're doing, make sure everything you're doing or what's around you is what's making you happy and making you be the best version of you and your future self. And if it's not, please do not give a shit of what people will think of you.
Yeah.
And create your own rules to make life the best that you can make it, because you're the one living it, no one else. Like, one body, one life. I mean, there could be a future life. We don't know what's out there in the cosmos.
Take it from Michael Jackson. Take a look at yourself and make a change.
Then I make a change.
Yeah. I always bring it back to something.
Oh, that was
Got to.
This has been fantastic.
This has been fantastic.
Thanks for tuning in. If you find this episode has been beneficial and you want to share it with others, please screenshot this episode, share it to a friend, family member. We would love to spread just the good vibes out there and just to help other people.
Absolutely. Thank you all for hanging out with us, and we will talk to you again next week.
See you later, guys.
Bye.
We want to thank everybody for listening today. Please be sure to subscribe and sign up to receive notifications so you know when the next episode is live. If you like today's episode and know someone who could benefit from the topic we covered, please share it with them. And if you have any suggestions for us or want to chime in on today's topic, you can email us at simplifiedchaospodcast@gmail.com, and that's chaos with a K, or send us a comment on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. Thanks again for listening, and we will see you next time.